Fridays, this guy comes in, he writes for the Marina Times, he does it all, movies, music, he comes and goes on a rainbow. The great Michael Snyder, everyone, the Culture Blaster. Hello, Michael.
I've got a major announcement. I am changing the name of this segment from Culture Blaster Legacy to, for God's sake, Mark, would you get to the segment already?
You have been very patient, sir. I'm sorry.
It was Leap Day yesterday, and
Yes,
I hope no one came down with leprosy, in case you dropped out of elementary school.
Wow.
Every 4 years is leap year when we're given an extra day in February, the 29th. So, of course, I wasted it, and now it's March, which means March Madness, which also means Mark's Madness.
It does.
I'm afraid that Albert's going to ignore all my renowned audio drops when he sets up the field. So I'm going to have my own competition, Mike's Madness, which will include 3 of my favorite drops that Mark Thompson Show audience members can vote on. Number 1, it's another classic Mark Thompson time waster.
That is a good one. Yep.
Number 2, I suggest you ease up on the edibles, Mark. That's number 2.
I don't remember that one. Okay,
and number 3 happens every couple of weeks. Thanks for paying attention, Mark.
This is a classic Mark Thompson time waster.
Yeah, there you go. There's that.
Anyway, before we get to the movie reviews, I want to point out some nightlife action here in San Francisco this weekend. I'm in San Francisco at the moment. I will be coming back as the coastal commuter to Los Angeles in a couple days. But this Saturday night, Music City, San Francisco, a club and a complex with recording studios and the San Francisco Music Hall of Fame. They're having an ongoing soft opening with a fundraiser Saturday night starting at 5 p.m. with Sponge Bath as the opening band. And at 7 p.m., the Unauthorized Rolling Stones with Music City founder Rudy Colombini singing lead, doing the Mick Jagger stuff. There's drinks and food. And, I'm pretty excited about this place. It's trying to bring the culture back to San Francisco, fostering a place for artists to gather and create, which, has been a problem in the wake of the .com booms and the tech booms that have hit the city and prices going up. I'm really, really grateful for Rudy and this project. So, yay.
That's great. Yeah, I know you're right. I mean, there's a lot of great in the city, and it's good to, get it some oxygen. Good for you.
Anyway, I'm also going to hit Madonna Apocalypse. Madonna Apocalypse is booty at the Cat Club on Folsom between 8th and 7th Saturday night. I am not stopping, Mark. And speaking of not stopping, should we get to some
people should look for you down there. The people who love Michael Snyder, many love the Culture Blaster. You'll be down there Saturday night.
I will be both at Music City and also at Booty at the Cat Club. All right, it's movie time, and we got a big old blockbuster kicking things off. I caught an advanced screening of Dune Part 2, and anyone on social media who follows me will know that I can't wait for the other 2 movies in the series, How You Dune and What You Dune. I can't wait.
Oh, my God. I can't believe it. I have heard this is a huge. The first Dune, what did you think of the first Dune? Remind us.
I thought it was a setup, and I thought it was beautifully done, but you get to the end point of the first part, and you're like, I want more, and guess what? Dune Part 2 gives you the more you wanted. It completes director, co-screenwriter Denis Villeneuve's adaptation of author Frank Herbert's watershed sci-fi novel, Dune, and it is a triumph. I mean, even more so than Part 1, this is visually stunning, well acted, mega exciting, faithfully bringing Herbert's tale of interstellar political intrigue and ecological harmony and the plight of indigenous peoples to the screen. This is a little deeper than, just a shoot 'em up, the ray guns to the fore. And if you haven't seen Part 1 or read the book, which was the first of a series, I will try to be as spoiler-free as possible here. I will say that young Paul Atreides played by Timothée Chalamet, has found himself on the desert planet of Arrakis after surviving an attack on his aristocratic family by the evil Harkonnens, another family, all of which are vying to control Arrakis, where giant sandworms produce a substance called spice. And this is the most valuable substance in this particular corner of the galaxy. And the phrase is, he who controls the spice will control the universe, or something to that extent. Anyway, dealing with the Harkonnens, who are attempting to take over Arrakis in the name of the Emperor, now, young Paul is stuck with the Freemen, a nomadic desert tribe that actually lives and thrives on this Dune planet, which is, again, mostly desert. And in the process, Paul falls for Shani, played by Zendaya, and their relationship is partially at the heart of this movie. But you also get, again, magnificent battles, political intrigue. As it happens, the Harkonnens, who are led by a gross creature played by the great Stellan Skarsgård, they have their own equivalent to Paul, who is going to inherit the Harkonnens' family power. And he's played by Austin Butler. And you know that Austin Butler's character is going to come up against Timothée Chalamet's character, and it's going to be Elvis versus Wonka. You know this is going to happen as you're watching the movie. And man, there's some great stuff in this movie. Javier Bardem plays a Freeman leader. Rebecca Ferguson is Paul's mother, who is one of the Ben Gesserit, who are kind of psychic women who have their order, kind of like an order of nuns, but obviously Rebecca Ferguson's character has had a child, so chastity isn't the issue, at least initially. It is some potent stuff. Josh Brolin is back as an Atreides ally. It's Florence Pugh shows up as the daughter of the Emperor. Dave Bautista is a Harkonnen, and the Emperor is played by, and this is new to part two, you're not going to believe this, Christopher Walken. I am the Emperor.
Wow.
Everybody brings their A game. I was blown away by Dune Part 2. And again, it's really important that you watch it after having seen Part 1. And taken as a whole, again, I found it to be a triumph.
Well,
it's fantastic.
I have to tell you that, as I recall, and I don't remember really what state I was in. I think I saw it in the theater. I think I was clear-headed. Dune 1, it's a little complicated, isn't it, Michael? I mean, will you grant me that it's a complicated plot, or was I just not in the right state of mind?
Well, the warring families and the political intrigue that involves trying to control Arrakis and the spice trade is at the heart of this. But again, like I say, Herbert, when he wrote Dune, also had ecological preservation in mind, respect for, tribal life, the people that live on the planet. And, it's got a religious tone to it as well.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say, we'll move on, is that I read the first Dune, and it was complicated, man. I remember there's a glossary with it. It was a heavy read.
Well, if worms freak you out, you don't want to see Dune. I'll tell you that. Giant worms. And by the way, one of the plot elements here is the idea that Paul, this outsider, may well be the Messiah for the Freeman people. And that may be a sham, or it may be legit. All of this stuff plays out in part 2. Again, highly, highly recommended. Let's move on to something a little lighter, may we?
Yes, please.
Comedian and writer Julio Torres, who was a veteran of SNL's writing staff and created the twisted, dark, and fitfully amusing HBO sitcom Los Espookies, has written and directed his very own starring vehicle, Problemista. And it's pretty original and surreal and funny. So Torres plays Alejandro, a wannabe toy designer from El Salvador, with a plan to move to New York City, where he hopes to find success. But he's easily pushed around and exploited. And when his work visa expires before making any headway in the toy business, his only option to remain in the country is to agree to be the assistant to a lunatic artist played by the great Tilda Swinton. Alejandro's escapades may be a little on the absurd side, as are the whimsical and borderline cruel ministrations of Swinton's character. But the art world satire is on point, and the nightmarish convolutions that Alejandro faces as he tries to deal with the U.S. Department of Immigration are topical, as well as amusing. So culture commentary, social commentary, and laughs, that's enough to earn my endorsement. By the way, Isabella Rossellini narrates the film, and you get supporting turns from RZA and the current award season darling Greta Lee from Past Lives. I enjoyed Problemista. It's in theaters.
Ministrations is a dang word. Cool. And I'm sorry, who's the male lead? Who is that?
Julio Torres, the guy who wrote and directed it.
Wow.
Former SNL writer and creator of Los Espookies, which is kind of cool and weird on HBO.
Cool. Okay. Good.
Let's move on to something serious. Based on harrowing true experiences, Shayda is a moving drama about the lengths that Shayda, a young Iranian mother, needs to go to safeguard herself and her 6-year-old daughter while they live in an Australian woman's shelter. The problem is Shayda's abusive husband, a medical student and seemingly a Muslim fundamentalist who immigrated to Australia with Shayda and the kid and wants to drag them back to Iran when he completes his studies. Like, he's assaulted her in the past, and if Shayda refuses to bow to his dictates, he intends to take the kid from her. First-time filmmaker Noura Niasari directed her own script and did a very good job. When you get to the end credits, there's archival footage, home video to be precise, that illustrates the verity of the story, the truth. And I thought this had moments of great compassion and great power, beautiful performances by all concerned, great work done by Zahar Amir Ebrahimi, who plays Shayda, and the kid, it's a kid actor, and she was also really good. Again, this is a pretty potent drama, Shayda.
Wow.
Verity
is a ding word, yeah.
It's in theaters.
Right.
Let me zip through one more film, if you don't mind.
Tell everybody we're a few minutes over. If you've got to go over to the, if you want to continue live, I think Kim may have to go over to the after party live. Go ahead and do it. We're keeping Michael. We're going to, let this segment sit. I don't want it to be too rushed. So go ahead, Michael.
Okay, the film is called They Shot the Piano Player, and it's a colorful, fully animated, melody and rhythm-charged feature film that serves as kind of an engaging documentary about a bossa nova piano master named Tenorio Junior, whose brief life was overshadowed by the stars of the Brazilian music genre, Antonio Carlos Jobim, Gilberto Gil, and others who dominated the movement in the 1960s and 70s. They all respected Tenorio, but we just don't hear about him. And his story is told in part through interviews with luminaries from the scene and associates of his within the framework of a fact-finding trip undertaken by a fictional New York journalist who is voiced by Jeff Goldblum. And of course, he is a jazz pianist himself. This is directed by Fernando Truba and Javier Mariscal, and the movie includes a hefty selection of beautiful tracks in the bossa nova genre as it recounts the history of the music's rise and international acclaim, while also investigating the mystery of Tenorio's disappearance. It is in theaters. They Shot the Piano Player. Good stuff.
Wow. Likes it. Got a lot of stuff today that you liked.
Yeah. Quick TV recommendations, if you don't mind.
Please.
Constellation on Apple TV, starring Noomi Rapace, the girl with the dragon tattoo, and also one of the stars of Alien Prometheus. Here she plays a Swedish astronaut on the International Space Station when the crew experiences a crisis, putting into question whether she's going to be returned back to Earth and reunite with her somewhat estranged husband, Magnus, played by James Darcy from Agent Carter and Broadchurch, and their young daughter, Alice. The German star Barbara Sukawa is also in the cast as a director at the Russian Space Agency. There are mysteries afoot. I am caught up. The intrigue is powerful, Constellation, and I know people want to hear about this. Shogun on FX and Hulu. This miniseries adapts James Clavell's epic novel based on real events and actual people in Japan from the late 1500s into the early 1600s during the rise of Japan's crucial Edo period. It's been done once before, but so far this version is sumptuous and exciting. The most familiar face is Hiroyuki Sanada from Westworld, Lost, and Helix and John Wick 4. He plays the politically astute Lord Yoshi Toranaga. Also, Cosmo Jarvis plays English ship pilot turned samurai John Blackthorne, and Anna Sawai from Pachinko. And the Fast Saga is the lovely Lady Mariko. Shogun, incredibly promising so far. 2 episodes in, and I am hooked.
All right, well, what a list. Very impressive always to hear you enthusiastic about various things, and I shall quickly review those things that Michael has expressed enthusiasm for. Shogun, the adaptation of the novel about real events. He called it sumptuous, which is a magnificent word. I guess it reflects a real enthusiasm for this offering. We also heard about Constellation, the Numi Rapace James Darcy offering. It is on Apple TV. Michael really liked that. Thought it moved along, and there's a weirdness in space, I guess.
And on Earth, if that is indeed Earth, it's intriguing to say the least.
How many episodes is that, Constellation?
Four in so far. There are more to come.
All right. They shot the piano player, the bossa nova history involving the disappearance of the great bossa nova player. He really likes it. It's an animated offering with Jeff Goldblum voicing a bunch of stuff. Michael really expressed enthusiasm for that, too.
Yeah, real interviews from real people, but, it's an animated feature, so keep that in mind.
Shayda sounds like a gripping and powerful offering involving an Australian women's shelter where they've gone to flee abuse from a husband or partner who is trying to drag them back to a Middle Eastern country for a life of subjugation and violence. And Shayda got Michael's thumbs up also. Problemista is the Tilda Swinton Julio Torres offering. It's funny. It's written and starring that guy, Julio Torres, that you see there. Michael liked Problemista also. And Dune Part 2 he began with. He highly recommends it. He says it's better than Dune 1. And he does suggest that you be familiar with Dune 1 before going into Part 2. But
just don't even think about watching Part 2 unless you've watched Part 1, which you can find online. I think it's streaming, and absolutely a better experience to see it in the theater, but a necessity if you're going to watch the second part.
Wow. He lavished praise on Dune Part 2, and it is a star-studded cast, and that cast includes Christopher Walken.
As the Emperor, I'm ruling here. I'm ruling.
It's fantastic.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I've got to go back and watch Part 1 again. And again, Michael Snyder in the city of San Francisco this weekend, knocking around in a couple of clubs. Where are you going to be again?
I'm going to hit Music City, San Francisco tomorrow night for the 6 p.m., 5 p.m. fundraiser to keep this thing expanding. It's a noble and worthy landmark in culture development in San Francisco. And then I'm hitting the Cat Club for Booty's Madonna Apocalypse. That's right. It's going to be mashups of Madonna songs, I guess, to honor her current American tour.
Yeah, I hear it's really good. The tour, I've seen little clips. It looks really good. And the mashups are always good at Booty. So look forward to that. Michael, you've been patient, lovely, and thorough. Thank you. He comes and goes on a rainbow. The Culture Blast with Michael Snyder, everybody. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great.
Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped. And please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.